Hello there and welcome to the second update for March 2017. Some more work on the retaining walls and the incline at the east end of the layout, so I'll take you through some of the progress, and any questions or comments, as always, I look forward to reading them. Cheers! I've now applied the plaster to the gaps at the bottom of the incline wall. I used Woodland Scenic's shaper sheet plaster for this as opposed to the carving plaster for the top. This allows you to smooth it a little bit easier once dry, sand it down and carve it, hence the name carving plaster. Whereas this shaper sheet really sets to a hard shell, and it will take you a lot to sand and smooth it down, certainly by hand anyway. And I wanted a firm base of which to build any scenic material on, including the dapple masts that I'm going to have to drill into that area and fix. So I used the harder compound for the bottom. You can see I just smoothed it as best I could. It doesn't really matter if it's 100% smooth because natural ground isn't. But I used a palette knife, kind of like the thing you'd use for decorating, filling holes in walls with polyfiller, that kind of thing. I just got a narrow one of those. And I kept it nice and tidy. The bottom edge, you can see there's no plaster actually on the wall itself. How I did that was I just used some Tamiya masking tape along the bottom of the wall, covered the rest of the wall in normal masking tape and paper just to keep any splashes off, because once it's in that mortar course it's very difficult to get out. And then once it's finished, quickly peeled it off before it's set too much so I can get the masking tape out, and it's left that nice clean edge, which will be covered in static grass, weeds, bushes anyway, but you know me, I like to do things nice and neatly as long as I can. Okay, so that's it really finished in the, hopefully anyway, with the plaster, and I'll have to let it to dry. I'll apply the undercoat and then the texture paint, and then it'll be a case of turning my attention to all his other jobs. Another piece of progress is the work to the entrance to the tunnel stroke bridge area, and what I've done is I've done the brickwork and the brick course onto this. I'm using Humbrol 70 for the brick, Humbrol 121 for the mortar, which is watered down, and then I've kind of highlighted it with some rail match light brick enamels. Obviously I've not finished it as regard to fitting it because I've not got the upper bits plus the ledges and obviously the capping stones there, but that's it put in place just loosely just now. And obviously this will be blended in with scenic stuff, weeds, gravel and the likes. Obviously got your buttress walls there as well. Okay, so that's the entrance. Kind of done. I'll be adding obviously smoke exhaust stains on the entrance to that, and maybe weathering down some of the brickwork a little bit as well, streaking and stuff. Some more work I've been doing is I've added these bits of wood there and round here, just bits of 9mm ply, which are the same height as the grey painted upper board. And what I did with this one, it took me a couple of attempts to get this right, is I had to cut it in to match the profile that was already there. Okay, and obviously the straight bit here will be where the tunnel entrance is, and the wall juts out, comes along to here where it disappears into the tunnel. So that's to be fixed down, and obviously this bit continues along, and that's where the straight bit section is. And if I take this bit of MDF that I've got lying here, that will go on top of there, it'll be painted grey just like that bit there, and it will flow all the way around to there and stop. So there, that will be all set, level and ready for scenic material. Might put some relay boxes, line side relay boxes in here, or a line side hut. The Woodland Scenic's pigment earth coloured paints, I'm just putting an Oxford die cast tray here. It's water based, so it means it's easy to work with, and it dries quite quickly, and also there's no smell, as you would get from maybe an oil based paint. I'm just using a small brush here, small artist brush, to apply it to the plaster. it won't cover the white in the first coat. Okay, it's too thin, and this is it without being watered down. They recommend that you water it down, which I can't see as a use for ground cover. Maybe for colouring rock formations and using the leopard spot technique, but I'm not doing that with this. I'm just wanting a base colour for the scenic material to go on. Obviously we don't have white earth. And after I've done this and it's dried, I will put a coat of green scene textured paint, as I've done with the rest of the landscaping, as I've covered in one of my previous videos. So I'll go ahead and continue doing this, and I'll let you see the results when it's finished. Okay, that's the Woodland Scenics earth pigments dry now, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to cover it with green scene textured paint, and this is yard filth, and I've used that on the other parts of the terrain as well. So this is quite pasty. It's almost like there's sand in it, and it's quite thick, and it spreads quite well. And really what you've got to do is work it into the landscape. Okay, I'm trying to avoid obviously the retaining wall there, and it goes on quite light, but it does darken when it dries. So what I'll do is I'll continue to do some of this, so as not to bore you to tears, and I'll show you when it's all been done. Okay, that's it all finished now. It's all been painted at the top and at the bottom there, and what I'll do now is I'll wait for it to dry. I'll peel the masking tape off, and then it's a case of fitting the buttresses to the wall, and the wall's really finished, apart from the capping stones, which will go on at a later date once I've organised the scenic material round about it. As you can see here, I've got the buttresses kind of tacked in place with some masking tape. There is 5 in total at varying places along the incline. The one I've got here, it's how I've made it is I've got 2mm plastic card. I've glued 2 together to make obviously 4mm, and then I've attached the brick embossed plastic to 3 of the sides, and then I've gone about it in the usual manner of painting and weathering and mortar. Because it's on an incline, you'll notice that the top part is flat horizontal, and the bottom part has got a very subtle angle. Okay, that angle matches the angle of the incline. Alright, so when I fit it in, there's no gap at the bottom. It sits at the same angle as the slope. So I know it will be getting grass and whatnot around about it, so any small gap won't be noticed, but I wanted to get it sitting properly before I start doing any scenic work. Okay, so that's the next step, me gluing these in place and turning my attention to the next bit. The incline retaining wall has also now been fixed in place with its buttresses and all the previously exposed plaster I showed you painting in the previous clips is now dried, and it looks like it's been built into the landscape. Okay, it's all been finished off, and even the ground down here has been neatened up to get ready for overhead masts and scenic material. So all really is done now with this one is I've said in the previous clips, is the capping stones on the top. A month's a long time in model railway terms, because last month's update showed you this section and there was no prime or painting on the brickwork on the retaining wall. Now obviously it's been primed and painted. I just prime it with a normal grey primer, let that kind of set for a couple of days. Then I airbrushed the Humbrol 70 brickwork onto the top of the primer. I let that kind of harden for about 24 hours before I applied the thinned down wash of Humbrol 121 pale stone. And what I do is I wash it all over my brickwork, and then I wipe it off with a kitchen towel, and it obviously stays in the mortar courses and comes off the top of the brick. It does, however, give the wall a paler look and take off the kind of harshness of the colour of the brickwork. Then what I do is I go and dry brush different shades of light and dark brick into the mix, just to kind of give that variation. You can see kind of the panels of the wall, there is a bit of variation in the actual tone of the brick. It itself gives it an element of weathered look, obviously some bricks would dull quicker than others depending on what colour they were in the first place. So you can kind of see the variation in the brick tones. Sometimes I have to go over the mortar again, just if I'm thinking it's maybe a bit faded, so I'll just wash that particular area with the mortar, wipe it off. If you wipe it quite hard, it tends to take a bit of the colour of the brickwork off as well, and it kind of just again gives another definition, another dimension to the brickwork. So you're getting maybe 4 or 5 different shades and blends from 2 or 3 different colours of paint, depending on how thin you wash it. Even down to the pressure that you airbrush at, you'll get a different finish. I've had different tones from day to day in the past on other models, depending on what pressure you have your airbrush at. To hand brush this would have been an absolute nightmare, so I got the airbrush out and I worked my way through it. Okay, I don't do my airbrushing in the attic, I do it in the shed, because I don't obviously want paint particles in a confined area, plus all the mist will get everywhere. So I do it in what I call the paint shop, but my wife will call it the shed. So I'll move around here a bit more to the girder bridge area. It's not finished yet because I've not put the ledges in. They're not been put in yet, they've still to be painted into a grey colour. So I've just kind of placed the upper parapet walls on top of the main parapet walls, just to give you an idea of what it will look like. The upper goes in front of the girder as per would be prototypical, well, certainly as in my area, and the girder rests on the main walls there. I've not painted or primed the girder yet. That'll be going a dark grey colour, pretty similar to what you see now, and I might introduce a wee bit of obviously weathering and smoke and soot staining on that as well. The walling continues right inside the tunnel. It's all been painted and weathered as well. So really now that is it. It's a case of assembling and fixing down and starting to get ledges in and work on scenic material round about this area. Here's the bridge from another angle, just kind of showing you how it's been made into the scene, and also with the retaining walls kind of encasing the tracks into this kind of cutting. The Class 50 hiding in the tunnel there is my latest impulse buy, which is 50037, and that's illustrious, and it's got digital sound fitted. I got this on eBay, ordered it on Monday, it arrived today, which is Wednesday. New, unused condition. I think it was a 2011 release, highly sought after and one that was on my wish list for some time now. So that's really completed my set of the 50s that I want. I've got Ark Royal, I've got Illustrious, Vanguard, Hood and Centurion, and that's really, you know, all in large logo, and that's kind of satisfied my appetite for the 50s at the moment. But I can't guarantee if I see one on eBay tomorrow I won't bid for another one, but hey, it's only money. The last bit I want to cover in this update is this corner of the layout. I had two options in my previous update. One was a house under construction and two was the caravan park, the static caravan park that is. At the point of that video I only had one static caravan and I was obviously looking for more. A third option was given to me by some of the comments that why don't you have a house under construction, maybe, you know, they're building it privately on land, and there is a family living in the caravan on site until their house gets built. So that became a kind of appealing idea, but then as chance would have it I got my hands on a couple more of these static caravans, one on eBay and one at the local shed in Manchester. So I managed to get myself 3, so I can now go ahead with the static caravan park idea, and I'll have them kind of in a segment 1, 2 and then 3, all kind of facing onto the railway with trees and maybe another couple of tow caravans in there as well. So that's the front runner just now, but hey, I've changed my mind once or twice. I'll probably change it again before I get down to doing anything about the corner, but just wanted to update you, that is what I'm looking at just now. Thanks for watching and I'll see you in my next update. Cheers!